people, how you doing? Hope you're having a fantastic damn day. Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be breaking down Kieran McKenna's Tractor Boys. That's right, we're doing Ipswich Town's 4-2-3-1 formation in the game FC24. Of course, as always, if you do like this video, hit that like button, subscribe if you are new. I'm always open to having new people on the channel. Comments down below if you would like as well. And I will say this, I am introducing a rating system into each and every video from here on out. I'm starting off with this one. So at the end of the video, I'll give my rating out of 10 on how I view these tactics. Now you can also do the same. I would actually appreciate it even more if you guys can try out the tactics if you'd like, obviously, and then come back and be like, oh, you know what, Brom Squad, I think it's a 7 out of 10, or I think it's a 6 out of 10, or maybe it's a 10 out of 10. It depends on you as the player personally. So for the formation going forward, hopping straight on into this video, it's a 4-2-3-1 wide, no real changes to it. So it's one goalkeeper, 2 centre-backs, 2 full-backs, 2 DMs, 1 attacking midfielder, 2 wider midfielders, and then of course 1 striker. Now with the tactics going forward, the tactical vision I have gone with is set to wing play. Now, they look to try and progress the ball into those wider areas of the field, and that will be between your wingers as well as your wing-backs / fullbacks, being very involved in the attacking play going forward. Obviously looking to try and suck opposition players into those wide areas, opening up channels and space between the lines for your attackers as well as your midfielders to try and work into and generate a bit more of an offensive outlet. Of course, the likes of Leif Davis is very important on that left-hand side, making sure that he's providing those crosses and cutback opportunities for the strikers. Moving on to the defense and the defensive style of things, it's set to pressing after possession loss. Now, they do look to implement a very aggressive counter-pressing system, looking to try and win the ball back, nice and high up the field when they do turn it over, and look to try and transition into an attacking play. As for the team width, I've set it to 40 now. It's a nice balanced approach, and to be honest with you guys, Ipswich are very good at winning a game by a goal and making sure that they lock up the opposition. They're very good at being able to prevent crosses being fired into the box, and when they are inevitably fired into the box, their centre-backs are very good at making sure that they're clearing their lines, or even the goalkeeper is pretty decent at being able to collect the ball and then rotate it back out into play. As for the depth, I've set it to a mid to high block, you could say, set to 65. This does help in possession as well as out of possession. It also kind of prevents any counter-attacking opportunities that the opposition will be looking for. As for the offensive side of things now, the build-up play, it's set to a fast build-up. I will say they do look to try and look after the ball, progress it slowly through the lines. But more times than not, they look to try and invite a lot of pressure onto them with the opponent's press, and then they look to try and play through that press quite quickly, inevitably flooding men forward. And you will see here I've set it to chance creation set to forward runs, but they do tend to flood men forward once they've beaten that first and that second layer of the press, and then look to try and attack the opposition. More times than not, they look to almost play as a counter-attacking side, which is it's quite weird, but they don't actually counter-attack the opposition. They don't turn the ball over and then immediately, you know, attack. They look to try and invite the opponent's pressure and then play through it. But again, as for the transgression, it sets forward runs. This does push a lot of players high up the field, inviting a lot of an attacking presence to the side. Of course, your wing backs as well as your wider midfielders are very involved in the attacking side of things, and of course you've got your striker and your number 10, and sometimes even your number 6s do get slightly high up the field and are involved in the attacking play. As for the width, I've set it to 80. Now this does open up a lot of space between the lines, allowing for a bit more space for your striker to try and work into. Of course, Hurst is a very strong physical man that can definitely dominate centre backs in the air, and more or less you are looking to try and generate space for your striker as well as your number 10 to try and feed off of, and even your double pivot at times, having them have a bit more space and time on the ball in order to try and play make for the players going forward. And then of course your wingers and your fullbacks are very involved in those wider areas of the field, looking to try and attack at certain angles, supply crosses or potential cutback opportunities for your players to try and score goals. As for players in the box there, I've set it to 7. So it can be your front 3, and when I say front 3 I mean your striker and your 2 wingers, or your 2 midfielders, wider midfielders, there we go. And then it can be one of your fullbacks crossing the ball in, or potentially it can be your midfielder or wider midfielder crossing the ball in and having your number 10 striker and your other wider midfielder in the box. As for corners and free kicks, as per always, I have set it to 4. Now, starting off at the back with the goalkeeper, I've him set to having a balanced approach for the saving on crosses. Not always known to claim the ball and make sure that he's alleviating the immediate stress and pressure on the backline. Sometimes he does look to try and punch it away, and sometimes that helps, other times not so much. So that's why I've gone with the balanced approach for that. But I will say this though, the goalkeeper and playing out from the back in this system is very, very important. So having him set to a modern day goalkeeper is on. Of course, being able to play out from the back, provide that offensive platform to build up off of is essential, as well as obviously you are playing a slightly higher mid block, so you do need him to be able to make those runs off of his line, claiming those no man's land balls, if that makes sense. I don't know if I've said that correctly, but pointers. If there are balls fired in behind your defense, you need your goalkeeper to be very proactive and reactive and look to try and claim it and circulate it back into your possession. As for your two centre-backs, they are set to their base set of instructions, except for the fact that their interceptions are set to conservative. You don't want them doing too much, you want them to more or less hold their positions and remain structurally sound. Now moving on to your right back, of course Brandon Williams in this case, he does look to get forward and supply and be very involved in the attacking outlet in certain moments, but more times than not it will be the left back that does this. So he is set to his base set of instructions, as you'll see here, except for the fact that, just like with your centre backs, he is also set to conservative interceptions, not looking to do too much, step out or be too aggressive towards the opponent, looking to structurally hold down that right hand side. As for your left back now, of course the more attacking of the back four and the two fullbacks, Leif Davis, he is set to join the attack as well as overlap, consistently looking to hold the width down the left channel. And then, of course, the defensive positioning is set to step up, being a bit more aggressive and imposing down this left-hand flank. Moving on into your double pivot now, Morsi and Lungo. Okay, cool. Both of them have the same set of instructions. So, both of them are set to cut past hands, looking to try and play a bit more of a zonal marking system, looking to try and intercept and break up as much play as possible in front of the back four. Staying back is essential. So, yes, they are a double pivot, and they do get slightly high up the field, but they're not as involved in the attacking outlet as what you would think. And then the interceptions are set to aggressive, looking to consistently have that workman-like midfield, trying to do as much of the dirty work as possible. And then both of them are very capable of showing for the ball, being able to collect it off of the back four or the goalkeeper and then progressing it forward. And then in case one of your fullbacks is out of position, both of them are also set to cover the wing so they can drift into those wider channels and try and help out picking up certain runners and whatnot. As you can see here for Morsi, he's got the same set of instructions. Onto your number 10 now, the likes of Chaplin. A very base number 10, but I will say a very effective one. So he does have the ability to drop deeper in certain moments, but I have set him to a basic defensive support, not always looking to do so, but at the same time having the ability to hang up the field if required. For the support on crosses, getting into the box, adding another potential body in that area to try and attack the ball, those cutbacks and crosses are essential. And then for the positioning freedom, is set to stick to position. You don't want him drifting wide and stepping out of position and having the ability to pick up those little half spaces. You want him playing off of the shoulder of your striker in certain moments and linking up more effectively with your number 9. As for the interceptions, it is set to aggressive. Now, moving on to your left midfielder. So your wider midfielders have very different roles. Obviously, that does play into the effect of your wing backs and what they tend to do. So for Broadhead, the left midfielder, he's set to come back on defense, looking to try and help out in certain moments. Cutting inside, though, is essential. Cutting onto his right foot, a more dominant side of him, and having shots off is essential. The support runs, I've set it to balance, so he can look to make those runs in behind if required, or potentially looking to come inside a bit more and link up with Chapman in certain areas. As for the interceptions, it is set to aggressive, and the supports on crosses, you want him in the attacking third every single time. Onto your right midfielder now, Burns. He is also set to come back on defense, staying wide though, holding the width more times than not down this right channel, because essentially Brandon Williams won't always look to get forward and potentially hold the width down. So you need your right midfielder to do that more effectively. As for the support runs, it is set to balance just like with the left-hand side, having the ability to sometimes break in behind with those runs in behind, or potentially link up a bit more with Chapman or your double pivots and just try and, operate in that little half space that is essentially generated. As for the interceptions, it is set to aggressive, and the support runs, slightly different, not every single time, but he will look to try and get into the box in certain moments. But because he does hold the width more times than not, you do want him to play in and around the attacking third, trying to either supply crosses or cutback opportunities for the attackers. And then finally, we have got the likes of Hurst. So, obviously, very strong physical man. You want him more central than anything else. You don't really want him running the lanes or running into those wider channels of the field. You want him central to attack those balls in the box. As for the attacking runs, I have it set to a mixed approach. Now, he is a target man, a naturally strong physical man that can back into the opposition, link up play a bit more, but you also want him to sometimes be able to make those runs in behind, and that does help with the quick transitions that you are trying to replicates and recreates. So a mixed attack best suits him. As for the interceptions, it's still set to aggressive. Your entire outfield, apart from your defenders, are all set to aggressive because it helps with the counter pressing that you will try and implement. As for this defensive support, however, I've set to basic, so sometimes having the ability to drop off, having your number 10 run past him and get into the box himself. Other times he can look to hang up the field a bit more and be a bit more of the out there ball. And there you have it, people. That is my version of Kieran McKenna's 4-2-3-1 system. Out of 10, I would probably give this a 7. I think maybe with better players in the system, it would feel and look a lot better. But with the players at hand, which is actually a high rating for me, I would probably give it a 7. It's a very effective system against a bigger team especially, so I don't think you can go wrong with it. So, yes. If you guys have enjoyed this video, please hit that like button down below. Subscribe if you are new. Like I said, we were on the road to 3,000 subscribers. We've gotten that. Absolutely fantastic. Big ups to you guys, by the way. Mad love, mad appreciation. So we are now on the road to 4,000 subscribers. So let's see how fast it can take us to get to there. Mad love for the support on the channel, guys. Absolutely appreciate every single one of you that comment, like, share, subscribe, all of it. So until the next time, have a damn great day. I'm out.